What makes us different from other clinics is that we value our traditional culture. We value, most of our best practices include culture. A long time ago, what kept Native Americans, Native people healthy was our cultural traditions. You did not have a chance to develop a low self-esteem and then eventually suicide if all of your customs and ceremonies were intact. What happened to us in the history of genocide was that our culture became outlawed. So our system of care, which our culture was, became outlawed, so we didn't have access to it anymore. And so our community members suffer from the loss of that culture, develop historical trauma symptoms. And what happens when there's untreated grief, unresolved grief, it just gets transferred to the next generation. Meaning, you know, even though I might not have been the one who was stolen from my mother and had to endure my whole childhood in a boarding school, you know, any of us in our community could be raised by that person who had that experience. And that grief is unresolved, untreated, it gets transferred to the next generation. So that's why it's real important for us to have a model that acknowledges that collective history. And we know what kept us healthy a long time ago was our traditions, our culture. And so when you look at our services array at Native American Health Center, you'll see a lot of traditional culture built in to those services because we know that's what makes us healthy, and those are the best practices for us to recover from historical trauma. Should I jump people? Would you like to share your experiences accessing some of our traditional services at Native American Health Center?
Yeah, one of the most important things to me being, I guess if you know, would call it a consumer of the Native American Health Center was actually being able to have a naming ceremony for my daughter. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I wanted her to have a part of me to carry on, especially if she's going to grow up in an urban environment. So being able to have a medicine man come out who is my tribe and actually give my daughter her name was a really good feeling for me because I felt like I did something that I was taught to do growing up. And her name, how it came about is she's a mixed tribe, and her father's actually a California native, so he's Pomo, and I'm Lakota Sioux from Pine Ridge Reservation. So the medicine man gave her a name that actually came from my tribe but honors her father's tribe. So it was a really good thing for me. Kind of felt good to be culturally active in the urban society. Being Native American, that's really hard to do. Yeah.
So we're really lucky at the Native American Health Center to have naming ceremonies. And at first, when you first hear of it, you know, the Western mental health service system, they wouldn't think of a naming ceremony as a mental health intervention. So one of the things that we also do at Native American Health Center is work with our partners to understand how our interventions are related to the mental health needs that we have. And one of the mental health needs that we have is, you know, we suffer a lot from isolation, which is known to the mental health field to be a risk factor for severe mental illness. And the isolation is something, you know, just because you're the only Native person sometimes in your classroom, sometimes the only Native person in your whole school, you could be the only Native person at your job. And what's anxiety provoking for that is that a lot of Native values are actually sometimes the opposite of Western values. So you're operating on a daily basis, living in a way that's opposite to how you would really like to function. So when we have events at Native American Health Center, we provide a respite for our Native community members to be together and to be in a place for the duration of that event where Native values are the norms, and so you can actually like relax and be around other Native people and know that you're in a mix of people who are, you know, validating how you believe. So our community events is also our traditional services is part of our service array that we've spent a long time, you know, helping our mainstream and the health system understand. And then community events too, you know, it's not, at first thought you wouldn't think of that as a mental health intervention, but for Native people who are suffering from isolation on a daily basis, it really is a mental health intervention.